Hey, what's up? This is Joe. I'm in Creel, Chihuahua, about 300 miles south of the border. And I wanted to make this video to show you kind of some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 3 years of going back and forth from Mexico to the United States. Just a couple of little things that I've kind of learned that make the whole process a little easier. So with that being said, I hope you get something out of it. As always, if you enjoy this video, please hit like and subscribe. Additionally, there's a donate button in the drop box below if you'd like to support this project. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the road. As soon as I flew back to Phoenix, I rested up a day and headed straight for the border. I'd already been in the States a while, too long actually. I couldn't wait to get back to Mexico. Why do I like it so much down there? Well, you might as well ask Mike Tyson why he loves knocking people out. It's just the way it is. I can't really explain it too much to say it's a little like stepping into a time machine. Back to a time when things were a little more free and people were a lot less concerned about things that in the end are not really all that important. Suffice to say, I was ready to be back. So anyway, back to the topic of the video. My preparations had already begun a while back, and I did the usual routine maintenance before going down. Brake pads, oil change, tires, final drive fluid, etc. Some of these items are not necessarily easy to acquire down there or cheap, so I prefer to do them in the United States. With all that out of the way, I made a mental list of a few items I might need and headed for some BLM land about 30 miles away from the border. It was out here in the desert that I would post up for a few days, acquiring the items I needed and waiting for some mail to show up at the post office. Just waking up and getting packed up about 30 miles away from the border at Nogales. I'm gonna go into Green Valley, pick up some mail, and start getting ready to head south. So I picked up my mail at the post office in Green Valley and grabbed whatever else I could think of. Specifically nicotine lozenges and an extra battery for my GoPro. Things that are hard to come by in Mexico. After crossing these items off the list, I headed to a truck stop to shower and get ready for the next step. Crossing the border to obtain a visa and an importation permit for my bike. I always like to do this ahead of time just in case there's any problems and so I can return to the US afterwards and rest up. It can be a real headache. Quick note about the truck stop showers. A lot of these truckers have an unlimited amount of shower tickets they get when fueling up, and they're usually more than happy to share. A quarter mile away from the Nogales border, I got my passport and registration ready and headed into Mexico. Once I crossed, I was informed that the office I needed to get the papers for my bike was still a good ways south of Nogales. Having crossed the border a number of times in many locations, I was prepared for a possible holdup like this, so I hopped on the bike and headed towards the Oficina Banjercito. I'll say this about the city of Nogales: it's absolutely beautiful. And although it took the better part of an hour navigating through the insane traffic, everything pretty much moved in an organized and logical direction. Most of the drivers were quick to stop for pedestrians, lights, and signs. This is refreshing to see, as in other places this is not the case. Not to single anyone out, but Oaxaca comes to mind. After a nearly 2-hour wait at the office itself, I had my visa and the paperwork for my motorcycle. Just got everything taken care of. Been here for a couple hours. Not unusual for border crossing and paperwork and all that kind of stuff, but had to ride actually 30 miles south to take care of the temporary importation permit and get my visa and stuff like that, which, you know, and then wait around for 2 hours, and then of course nothing's ever right, so you have to keep going back to the other person and waiting in line. But anyway, all good, got everything taken care of. So heading back that way, back north, spend some time in the States, relax, and get ready to cross over. Nogales, Arizona. I crossed the border earlier today and get all my paperwork and shit like that. That took a good half of the day, which I expected. I've had it be really quick in the past, and I've had it be like it was today. You know, a lot of waiting around and you know, hoping you get the fuck out of there pretty soon. So anyway, I don't usually stay in a hotel in the US unless there's inclement weather, unless the weather is terrible. One exception is getting ready to cross the border, and this is the reason why. I actually learned this trick from my grandfather, big into international traveling. So his basement would always be in this kind of condition right here, and where he'd have everything laid out, get everything organized. So that's sort of what I'm doing right now. Just invaluable way to get everything organized. It's just to lay it all out like this, see what you got. What can you get rid of? What can you give away? At this point, the problem is I pretty much need everything I have. So I can't really get rid of much else, but I'm doing my best. I know I'm overloaded. The suspension's not great, so that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to address when I get back to the States. Okay, so just waking up at the motel, got everything consolidated last night. I didn't get rid of as much stuff that I had hoped that I would. I really didn't get rid of anything, to be honest. I just kind of moved stuff around. We got a couple of more things to take care of before we cross the border, so come on. Although it was very beautiful, I wasn't really keen on riding through the congested traffic of Nogales a second time. I looked at the map and headed east to Douglas, Arizona, where I would take care of the rest of my stuff and cross at Agua Prieta. A friend from back home had been telling me about his hometown of Bisbee, Arizona, and this was a pretty good opportunity to check it out. So that was the last stop. This is a Casa de Cambio. Prefer doing this in the United States just in case there's a translation error, although I've done it in Mexico. I usually prefer changing money in the United States. There's a comfort factor involved and usually less chance of a misunderstanding since most of the clerks speak English. One last thing I hadn't mentioned was fueling up. Gas is typically more expensive in Mexico, so I prefer to fill up one last time before heading across. Once in Mexico with the full tank of gas and my paperwork in order, I breathed a sigh of relief. The hard part was over. Every time I come here I have a different experience, but it's always been worth the hassle. I wondered what kind of adventures this trip would bring. Son of a backward facing barbs. Once you get it in you gotta pull it hard to get it out. Screw you, buddy.